Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the show. It's great to have you here today on this Total Wellness Tuesday episode, where we are going to be speaking about a specific gene and ways that you can actually enhance it in order to boost your mood, enhance your metabolism, or lose more body fat, improve your overall sleep, and also protect against neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, and others. Now, the way that this works, and one of the great things about the new scientific research around helping to improve the neuroplasticity of the brain, that means the brain's ability to learn new tasks, enhance its cognitive ability, which means improve your memory, memory recall, is we're looking at specific factors that decrease brain neuroplasticity, that means hurts the brain or the brain cells, and others that increase it. So the pretty fascinating thing that I want to get into on today's show is that some of the same things that actually improve brain function hurt brain function when taken too far. It's this really interesting dichotomy of all of the things that could be beneficial for us at some point tip and actually degrade our overall health. So this is a show that I love to do because it really shows people that all of the things that you thought were good for you truly are. It's just when they've been overdone, we start to move backwards and we actually get less of the results that we're shooting for. So these are the type of shows that I love to dig into, I love to explore, because what we do in my practice is we're all about personalized lifestyle medicine, personalized health. So our goal is not to diagnose disease. It's not to provide treatment protocols for diseases. It's actually to show people, here's why you ended up becoming imbalanced in the first place. Here are the underlying root causes. Here are the toxicities, the things you have too much of or you're doing too much of. And here are the things that you're deficient in, you're not doing enough of or you're not getting enough from. So we're going to explore this deep today, but I want you to understand what this is and how you can improve brain function, overall mood, weight loss, etc. And it's through a gene that everyone has called the BDNF gene. Now, BDNF is something that we're going to say over and over today on the show, and it stands for Brain-Derived Neurotrophic Growth Factor. So brain-derived, BD, neurotrophic factor, NF, or neurotropic growth factor. We put growth in there because what happens is when you release more of this protein, BDNF, it allows more brain cells or neurons to grow. And at the same time, it helps to repair or keep the healthy ones healthy. So when we see more and more people ending up with Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's at a younger age, we need to start to think about what are we doing right now that could be potentially causing this? And what can we do that would lessen our chances for getting it regardless of our genetics, but also help each and every one of us improve other factors in our life as well, all affected by the BDNF gene. And that, of course, goes back to our metabolism, our sleep, overall inflammation, and mood. So the protein that we're going to be talking about today, BDNF, Brain-Derived Neurotrophic Growth Factor, is essentially a signal to the body to start to repair. And it removes the more mature, older cells, and it begins to repair or rebuild and start new with new brain cells or maintain the healthy ones. Now, the interesting thing, like I said, is this. Everything I'm going to go over today, you've heard in some fashion before, but maybe not in this way. And what I would like to do is I would love for you to go over to stephencabral.com/1670. That's the show notes for today's page. stephencabral.com/1670. And what we're going to do is embed a previous podcast I did on hermetic factors or hermetic stressors. If this is something that you have not heard before, it is going to be one of the most eye-opening and powerful things you'll begin to learn about. Once I started to learn about this, I realized that all of the so-called experts out there, they're only half right half of the time for a small percentage of the people. And here's why. Now, let me give you a good example of this. When we look at one of the factors that would actually improve your BDNF, it would be sleep, of course, right? Let's look at that. If we are not getting enough sleep, what happens? Well, our natural growth hormone or growth factor, IGF-1, begins to decline. We have a greater amount of sympathetic nervous system stress. We have more cellular inflammation. Part of that by what's called reactive oxygen species, ROS. Think of that as oxidizing or rusting from the inside out. We start to age faster. That's if you don't get enough sleep. But here's the other issue. If you were to get too much sleep over time, you start to also become inflamed. You also have issues with blood sugar. You also have issues with putting on weight. So it's interesting when one thing is taken too much, greater than 9 hours for a prolonged period of time, or less than 7 hours for a prolonged period of time, we end up getting similar results. So it doesn't always mean like everything in moderation. I don't like when people say that because it's actually based on the individual. If you're someone that works out a lot, you're stressed, you have a very physical, active job, or you're more of the ectomorph body type, well, you need 8 to 9 hours of sleep. But if you're more of the endomorph, you sit a lot of the day, you're not as active, well, you might need closer to 7 to 8 hours, right? So there's always a little bit of play at hand. And it really makes us, and again, if we're in this for the long haul, if we truly want to improve our health and pass on this information to other people so that they can learn as well, especially our children or next generation, or if you're an IHP coach, you want to be able to teach this to people. And there's not a one-size-fits-all approach. So when you hear someone saying this diet is best for everyone, this form of exercise is best for everyone, they're incorrect. I'm not naming any one particular person. I can't even think of a person off the top of my head. But I can tell you this, it's incorrect. And it's going to be incorrect and actually harmful for a lot of people. Let me give you another example. Fasting, right? Fasting is so important, right? It is one of, if not the closest thing that we have to the fountain of youth. Here's the issue. Too much fasting? Well, let's go over too little, right? If we don't have enough fasting, we're not creating enough what's called autophagy in the body. We're not allowing our body to essentially clean up from the inside out. That means we're not able to break down necrotic tissue. We're not able to remove harmful pathogens. We're not able to clean out the digestive tract. Our stomach acid enzymes are always being produced. The liver is having a difficult time manufacturing bile and helping with the detoxification-based process. So there's a lot good that goes on, for sure. And it could lead to potentially more weight gain over time, all sorts of different things. But that's if we don't fast, right? So I think that most people by now know that about 6 at night to 6 in the morning, 7 at night to 7 in the morning, 5 at night to 5 in the morning. I mean, that's an appropriate time to fast, 12 hours. Now, some people could do a little bit longer, but the problem is when we take it too far, right? So how much is too much? Well, it really depends on the individual and also where they're at in their life because they're not a static being. So let's say that you do fast too long, right? So too much fasting. What happens? Well, we actually start to build up more of those reactive oxygen species, which means that we begin to create more inflammation in our body. There's too much catabolism. There's a constant breakdown of the tissue in the body. This also leads to an exacerbation of the immune function, which needs to clean up. Sometimes we move more towards HPA axis dysfunction, which means adrenal-based stress, because the body keeps moving into what's called a glucogenic-based state, where it's trying to produce glucose, because you can't tell me that your body's always using ketones. That's not how it works, right? That is not how the body works, no matter how many people like to slice it that way. So when your body's under a higher level of stress, it's saying, well, what happened to all the glucose? What happened to the glycogen-based reserves? Are we able to get enough amino acids to move into a state of gluconeogenesis? Maybe, maybe not. But that's a stressor in the body. So what happens is we can actually start to throw off insulin sensitivity in this way as well. So do keep in mind that insulin sensitivity, reactive oxygen species, can actually go haywire with too long of fasting for too many weeks in a row. In our practice, we typically see it for greater than 4 weeks. That's when we see metabolic damage as well with thyroid and with estrogen dominance in many women. So I just want to share that with you again. But here's the thing. If you do fast for somewhere between 12 and 14 hours for most people, maybe up to 16 hours if you start your fast earlier in the evening, well, you can get tremendous benefit. And maybe even do that for 6 months or so, and then you might cut it back to 12 to 14. Or again, it depends on the individual. And that's why working with a health coach, an integrative health practitioner, a naturopathic doctor, or someone that specializes in this could be truly beneficial to personalize something for you. But what I'm saying is, when you find the sweet spot with fasting, well, I'm going to take you actually through the de-stress protocol right now. You're going to improve BDNF, which means you're going to improve mood, inflammation, neurodegenerative disease, weight loss. I mean, these things are crucial. These are crucial for longevity. They're crucial for maintaining a good body weight, and they're crucial for your overall health. So once again, we find that because people come to us all the time and they say, I want to know the program for rheumatoid arthritis. I want to know the program for Hashimoto's. I want to know the program for migraines. I want to know the program for this. And yes, there are variations in diet. And yes, there are variations in nutritional supplements. There's no doubt about it. However, there is always the de-stress protocol, right? There's always the de-stress protocol. I wrote about it for the first time in my book, The Rain Barrel Effect. But I had been using it in private practice for a good decade before that. The Rain Barrel Effect is a book. 100% of profits go to charity. And it's a book that I'm trying to get this message out to people, and I have for the past 2+ years. Again, I give you all the information for free in the podcast, but the book kind of lays it out for you, especially for maybe a parent or a sibling. If they don't yet understand natural health from a foundational-based standpoint, forget about the resveratrol, forget about the nicotinamide riboside, forget about the ubiquinol. Okay, all of those things can be great, but none of it matters. Absolutely none of it matters. Neither do all of these specialty-based smart drugs, psychedelics, or pharmaceuticals. None of them matter if you do not have a foundational-based protocol set, because you're still living with your body and it's still deteriorating over time. So when we look at, I'm not going to even go into the hermetic stresses anymore, but remember, exercise. What happens if you don't get enough? Well, don't regulate blood sugar as well. Don't regulate mood as well. Don't regulate inflammation in the body as well. What happens if you do too much? Well, then you get more inflammation. You get more catabolism. You get more breakdown of the body. It's the same with sunlight. We need sunlight. But when you get too much, what happens? You get more radiation. You actually get more inflammation. That's why we don't want sunburns, right? Some is good, a lot, not good. How much do you need? Well, it depends on your melanin level as well in your skin. The darker your skin, the more sunlight you are naturally supposed to get. The less melanin in your skin, the lighter your skin, the less sunlight you're supposed to get. But we all need some. If you have less melanin in your skin, it's like that for a reason. It means that you need to be able to get vitamin D, and for you, there was typically less sunlight, so now you have less of a barrier in your skin, which allows you to get vitamin D at a much faster rate. Someone with darker skin, okay, they need to be out in the sunlight longer. It's going to take them longer to get their vitamin D dosage. That is how our physiology works. Really, really important, okay? So I'm going to link up the previous show on all these different hermetic stressors. Head on over to stevencabral.com/1670. I want to take you through because I always want to give you all actionable takeaways every single day on this podcast. So I'm going to take you through my de-stress protocol, which is diet, exercise, stress reduction, toxin removal, rest, which includes sleep, emotional balance, supplement protocols, and success mindset. Okay, I'm going to do that within the next 7 minutes. So we're gonna hop on the rocket ship, because I want you to understand that all of the recommendations I'm giving you right now, of course, I detail them much greater in the Rain Barrel Effect, but they're all going to be personalized. So I'm going to give you parameters to fall within, and then you're going to be able to customize this for yourself through trial and error, or starting at the very first stage. And then you could personalize it with a health coach, or you can just gradually work up yourself. But, and I'm going to be giving more research this Friday on the Friday Review, so hopefully you tune in then. But when it comes to diet, please check out my podcast on the foundation of all diets. You can't refute this. People try, but the only great long-term studies revolve around a predominantly plant-based diet that is high in antioxidant-based fruits and vegetables. There are so many fad diets out there that are low carb, that are keto-based, that are carnivore-based. I'm not coming down on any of the people who promote those. I understand why they're doing them. It's simply short-sighted. They do not ask why. If you tell me that this medical doctor promotes the carnivore diet because he sees a regression of autoimmune-based disorders and pain and inflammation and bloating, I say, of course he or she does. Of course. And the reason is that they are no longer feeding the gut bacteria or yeast anything that is fermentable. There are no fructo, oligo, di, mono, and polysaccharides. There are also no higher lectin-based foods. There's also not a lot of phytic-based actions. There's none of those things. However, yet all of those things lead to a healthy gut when it is balanced. So when you remove all of them, I understand the gut microbiome will shrink. And I understand now that there'll be less inflammation because there's also less yeast and bacterial overgrowth. The problem is, all you did was use a conventional medicine, Band-Aid-based approach for a true underlying health-based issue. And that is why if you don't work with a integrative health practitioner, naturopathic doctor, or a functional medicine practitioner specialized in the gut, you're going to end up with Band-Aid-based approaches. And again, you don't need to work with my team. We would love to work with you. I mean, you can run a Candida metabolic and vitamins lab. You can run a bacteria and parasite stool test. You can run a food sensitivity test. Those you can all do right at home. I mean, very easy, right? You can find those at equilibriumnutrition.com. But you also don't have to. You can work with someone locally if you want. Just make sure they're qualified. But do keep in mind, anybody who puts you on this type of a diet and they want to keep you on it is simply not at a deeper level of education. That's it. And it doesn't mean they are a bad person. They are going to help you in the beginning, but not in the long term. So we put people on a lower fructo, oligo, di, mono, and polysaccharide diet, a lower lectin diet in the beginning, a no-grain diet in the beginning, but then we ease them out of that as we begin to help people rebalance the gut. So again, I understand why people do it, but just because you get results and lose weight and don't feel the pain doesn't mean that it's the correct diet. It simply means that, yes, you used a conventional medicine or green medicine approach to helping a problem. But you know what? Statins lower high cholesterol without changing your diet, exercise, etc. And taking biological drugs removes the pain when you have an autoimmune issue like rheumatoid arthritis. Those things do the same exact thing. Are those okay? No, of course they're not. Right? Of course they're not. You didn't do anything to fix the underlying root cause. So remember, symptoms are sometimes your friend. They tell you whether what you're doing is working or not. But you have to always ask why. If I take out all the fruits and vegetables, then I say to myself, well, why did that work? And that's the question that people aren't asking. So for diet-wise, the absolute best thing that you can do to increase BDNF is to increase the brightly colored fruits and vegetables in your diet. Check that out. Very, very important. 7 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables per day. If they bother you in any way, rebalance the gut. Let's move on to exercise. And again, this does not mean that you can't eat meat, you can't eat fish, you can't eat other things. You can. That's your choice. It's just a predominantly plant-based diet. That's all. Okay. Anti-inflammatory plant-based. We don't want a processed food diet. Okay. So next up is exercise. Exercise, I've laid out before inside of the IHP program, talking about there's a graduated exercise program. And again, I did a podcast on that. That's all free as well. So it just kind of depends on how deep you want to take your health learning and education, and that's what we want to provide you with. I want to be able to help you at whatever level you want to kind of dive in at. So the podcast obviously is free. The next step up is the Rain Barrel Effect. That's basically free. And then after that, we have integrativehealthpractitioner.org, which is a course for the general public, and then also a certification for those that want to become a health coach. So there's all different levels, and that's obviously my goal, is to teach you at all the different levels. And then late this fall, I'll also be debuting specific programs on specific topics to really get in depth on, whether it be some of these autoimmune issues or cardiovascular or blood pressure or blood sugar. We'll get deep into those and with specific protocols as well. All right, so exercise, essentially, we have to work up. We know we need exercise, but we work with so many people with myalgic encephalitis or chronic fatigue syndrome, whatever you'd like to call it, that you can't just start somebody with high-intensity interval training. That's at the end. So we start with walking. We progress them to cardiovascular. We progress them to body weight exercises. We progress them to weight training. We progress them to high intensity interval training. So it's all about progression, But you do need to be moving your body for 30 minutes a day. You do need to be moving that body for 30 minutes a day on top of your up to 10,000 steps per day. Meaning like you can do more than that, but you have to work your way up to 10,000 steps per day. This is obviously a general overview, but we have to do these things. Again, they increase neuroplasticity in the brain. They increase the mood. They increase metabolism. They help with fighting off a lot of these neurodegenerative issues like Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's. By the time you have it, so much damage has already been done. Work on it right now. All right, stress reduction. Stress reduction is the key. We need to reduce stress. Stress equals inflammation. Stress dysregulates blood sugar. Stress dysregulates the immune system as well as hormones. Find out your main stressors in life. Do your best to overcome them in terms of the reframing of how you look at them or removing them from your life whenever possible. And I know that it can't always happen overnight. We talk about these things on our Mindset and Motivation Mondays. Toxin removal. Toxin removal happens by putting good food in the body, that's for sure, by using a good protocol for nutritional supplements, and then doing a quarterly detox every 12 weeks. Our community does one every January, beginning of April, beginning of July, and September. And we do that to enhance autophagy, to give the body the Ayurvedic herbs as well as the state-of-the-art minerals and sulfur-based compounds to allow your liver to detox at a faster rate. Every single person right now, if they ran an environmental toxicity test, I can guarantee you, you would find some level of environmental toxicity inside your body. Anything from glyphosate, or pesticide sprays, herbicides, fungicides, gas fumes, meaning like from vehicles, all sorts of different things inside of your urine. And you would find that. And that obviously comes from your bloodstream. Okay, so detox is important. And then, of course, that intermittent fast, 12 hours to 14, maybe 16 overnight. Next up, we have this. We have rest. We talked about that. It is maintaining a good sleep cycle, good circadian rhythm, getting to bed within a half hour of the same time every night, waking up within a half hour of the same time every single day, allowing your body to know when it's time to work and it's time to rest, and getting between 7 to 9 hours of sleep every single night. Next up is emotional balance. This goes back to stress, but truly working on healing past trauma, things that you're carrying with you to this day: guilt, shame, bitterness, jealousy, envy. All of these things wear down our body. How would they possibly do that? Well, what happens is they misproduce neurotransmitters. That means they produce more excitatory neurotransmitters, which we don't want, and don't produce as many of the positive ones, or those become out of balance over time. They stress our body. They produce more cortisol. They produce more adrenaline, and they don't get us into the right mindset. So we're not moving in the right direction in life. Next up, supplement protocols. I do not believe in mega dosing of supplements. I spoke about that before. You don't need 20 grams of glutathione a day. You don't need 20 grams of vitamin C a day. You don't need 3 grams of methylfolate a day. All of these things can be good. You don't need the mega doses. You don't need mega doses of vitamin A. You don't need mega doses of vitamin D3. Some is good. Tons is not better. So what I can recommend is something like the Daily Foundational Protocol, level 2 or level 3, as well as something like the immunity-based protocol. From there, you can customize it based on your labs or working with your health coach. Next up, the last one, success mindset. Success mindset allows you to believe that anything is possible. If your health is suffering today, it can be better in the future. If your body is 20, 30, 100 pounds overweight, it can get back in shape in the future. If your relationships aren't good, if your work isn't good, if your spirituality isn't good, any of those things, a success mindset simply allows you to believe that your past is not a prediction of your future. That with the right mindset, anything is possible. And again, I would invite you to tune into our Mindset and Motivation Mondays. So all the things that I spoke about today, not only will they improve your body, improve your mind, improve your overall health, what it does is it begins to produce a scientifically proven protein called Brain-Derived Neurotrophic growth factor. And when we produce more of that, we get to reap all of the benefits of mood, happiness, metabolism, fat burning, brain neuroplasticity, which is the staving off of many neurodegenerative diseases. This is something that we need to practice for life. The nice thing is, nothing I named today is exceptionally difficult. Start at the level you're at right now and simply work your way up over time. You have time. Thank you so much for tuning into today's show. I appreciate you. And of course, if this show is helpful, please do feel free to share it with someone else you believe it may serve. Take care. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.